Hey everyone, and welcome to the video, the third and final part of our story, What if Kyoya joined Team GanGan Galaxy? Now in the last part, Team GanGan Galaxy had a pretty big setback, losing a match against Team Excalibur. But by beating Team Garcia, they have still found themselves in the final match against the American team, Starbreaker. How will this match play out? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's get into the video. The first battle of the match between Starbreaker and GanGan Galaxy begins. And just like in the anime, Zio battles and defeats Masamune. As Jack steps forward to begin the second battle for Team Starbreaker, there's a bit of a disagreement between Jinga and Kyoya as to which one of them should battle next. But before the two of them are able to make a decision, something interrupts them.
What is happening out there? What's going on?
Oh no! Ryuga!
It's Ryuga, everyone!
Ryuga challenges Jack to a battle, reminding him that he promised to battle once his bay was completed. But wait, you fans of the show may be saying. Since GanGan Galaxy has 3 members, there is no need for Ryuga to act as a replacement blader, and therefore there's no reason for him to battle Jack. And while that may be true, I never said that Ryuga battled Jack. Enraged by Ryuga's sudden appearance and his challenge to Jack, Kyoya steps forward and says that if Ryuga wants to interrupt the finals and battle Jack, then he is going to have to go through him, and challenges Ryuga to a battle, which Ryuga accepts. So now we have a showdown between Ryuga and Kyoya to decide which one of them is going to battle against Jack. And this battle, it's not close. Like, at all. And how is it that a rematch between Ryuga and Kyoya, who gave us one of the best battles in all of Metal Fusion, is now a one-sided affair? Well, it's because Kyoya joined GanGan Galaxy. In the anime, after Kyoya turned down a place on Team Japan, he traveled to Africa, where he became a member of the South African team Wildfang. But, even more important than that, Kyoya underwent a period of intense training in the Valley of Storms with Team Wildfang, where his power increased significantly. In our story, since Kyoya joined GanGan Galaxy, he never underwent this period of training like he does in the anime. So the Kyoya in our story is much weaker than anime Kyoya. And as for Ryuga, well...
I have gotten my hands on a new power that makes the old Dark Force look like a toddler throwing a tantrum. You what?
So in this battle between Kyoya and a Ryuga who is far stronger than he was in Metal Fusion, there isn't much of a contest. Or, to put it another way,
Time to kiss your bay goodbye!
Kyoya!
Buddy?
with the battle over, Ryuga turns his attention to Jack and reissues his challenge. Now, if we're being technical, Ryuga still doesn't qualify as an emergency blader for Team GanGan Galaxy since they started the match with 3 bladers, and thus, Ryuga beating Jack shouldn't even the score at 1 win apiece. However, I'm going to say that since Kyoya is unable to battle against Starbreaker, and the person who defeated him was not a member of Starbreaker, that it's allowed. And so, when Ryuga absolutely claps Jack for being a clown of a blader, the stage is set for the final battle between Damien and Jinga. But before we get into the battle, we need to ask the question, how strong is Jinga at this point in our story? Well, to answer that, we're going to have to do a little bit of power scaling. But to make sure that it doesn't take up too much time or get really complicated and messy, I'm going to keep it simple. So the maximum power that Jinga had at the beginning of Metal Masters when he gained control of Galaxy Pegasus, we'll just call this Jinga 1. In his fight with Julian Konzern in the anime, Jinga gets 2 power boosts over the course of the battle. The first one, when he's able to break through the Eyes of Medusa, and the second one, when he creates his new special move, Stardust Driver. So, we're going to name these 2 power-ups Jinga plus 1 and Jinga plus 2. Finally, in the battle with Damien, Jinga gets 4 additional power increases. The first one comes when he is trying to find a way to defeat Damien's Hades Drive. The next 2 come while Jinga is fighting off the power of Hades Kerbek's special move, Hades Gate. And the fourth and final one comes when Jinga once again powers up beyond his maximum for the final clash against Damien. And for the sake of keeping it simple, we're just going to call these 4 power-ups Jinga plus 3, plus 4, plus 5, and plus 6.
Could you be any slower?
Now, in the anime, Jinga begins the battle with Damien at the power level of Jinga plus 2. And it isn't until Jinga reaches Jinga plus 6 that Damien is forced to power up to his maximum in order to keep up with Jinga. And in our what if? Well, that just isn't going to happen. If you remember, Jinga lost to Julian Konzern in our what if, because he never had the encounter with Ryuga, where he learned that his Bay had more power than he previously believed, meaning that the Jinga plus 1 and plus 2 power-up didn't occur in the battle with Julian Konzern. And in fact, they still haven't happened, because Jinga hasn't had a difficult battle since encountering Ryuga. So in our what if, instead of beginning the battle against Damien at the power level of Jinga plus 2, Jinga is going into this battle at Jinga 1. Now, as the battle progresses, Jinga is able to last long enough to realize what Ryuga was saying to him when he told him that his Bay had more power than he previously thought. And Jinga is able to gain power and increase to the level of Jinga plus 1 and Jinga plus 2, but it's not going to go any further than that. Jinga simply is unable to last long enough in this fight to gain the power-ups required to beat Damien. And so, with Jinga at the power level of Jinga plus 2, Damien overpowers Jinga. And the match and the Beyblade World Championship are won by the US team Starbreaker. Despite this what if, starting with Kyoya replacing you on GanGan Galaxy, which on paper would make GanGan Galaxy a much stronger team since Kyoya is objectively a class above you in terms of strength, Starbreaker wins the Beyblade World Championship. The Beyblade World Championship may be over, but our story isn't, because the consequences of Kyoya joining GanGan Galaxy are about to become a little bit more dire. Now, despite the fact that they lost, Jinga insists that GanGan Galaxy and friends attend the celebration for Team Starbreaker in order to be good sports. When GanGan Galaxy arrives, they realize that only Starbreaker, Team Garcia, and Julian Konzern are at the celebration. At the ceremony, Dr. Ziggurat reveals that the arrangement system he created to enhance the abilities of a blader to extract their nearly limitless potential and the formation of Team Starbreaker were just tools that he created and used for the sake of his real purpose. He explains that his real goal was to use the World Championship to gather data on the strongest bladers in the world in order to create the most powerful bay in existence, Twisted Tempo. Remember in the beginning how I said that even though Beyblade's really silly, it also goes super hard? To anyone who didn't believe me when I said that, the mad scientist in Beyblade Metal Masters creates a bay that, according to him, would be able to spin forever, create an unlimited supply of energy, and can even control space and time. After finishing his speech, Dr. Ziggurat gives a demonstration of the power of Twisted Tempo, and with just a fraction of the energy it produces, destroys an entire ecosystem. The gang is horrified to see this display, but even more horrified when Ziggurat says that he is willing to sell this energy and supply it to the highest bidder to use however they please. Dr. Ziggurat then begins to leave, but Jinga yells after him that they will find a way to stop him. Hearing this, the Garcias and Team Starbreaker pull out their bays, telling Jinga and his friends that they won't be able to stop Ziggurat because they are going to be crushed right here, and now. Now, in our What If, since GanGan Galaxy lost the World Championship, Team Wang Hu Zhang is not at the ceremony to celebrate. Also, since Kyoya joined GanGan Galaxy at the start of our story, Nile and the rest of Team Wildfang aren't going to show up at any point. This means that Jinga, Kyoya, Masamune, and Kenta are the only Bladers present in the fight against Damien, Jack, Julian, and Team Garcia. Jack and Damien are able to dispatch of Jinga rather quickly. Ian, Selene, and Enzo Garcia prove to be too much for Masamune and Kenta to handle. Kyoya does a good job against Argo Garcia, but is absolutely plastered once Julian Konzern steps into the battle. After they're all defeated, Damien gloats over all of them, calling them weak, while Argo tells them that if any of them think about trying to stop Ziggurat's plans, they will be crushed, even worse than this. And with that, they all leave. Despite having just been defeated, Jinga and the others remain firm in their resolve to stop Ziggurat, and their fighting spirit burns bright. Luckily for them, the members of Wang Hu Zhang, along with Sophie, Wales, Klaus, and Tsubasa, rally around them as they move to infiltrate Hades City. Now, from here, things play out the same way as they do in the anime until we reach the point where the group of main characters are inside of Hades Tower and are forced to split up. In the anime, Jinga goes one way with Masamune and Kyoya, while Tsubasa takes the other path alongside Yu. Since Yu is absent from our story, Tsubasa goes with Kyoya, while Jinga and Masamune head the other direction by themselves. After splitting up, Kyoya and Tsubasa run into Jack. Now, in the anime, Tsubasa is the one who battles Jack, but in our story, it's Kyoya. You see, Kyoya would be bitter about the fact that Ryuga prevented him from battling Jack, and he wants to prove that he would have crushed Jack had they fought in the World Championship. As Kyoya prepares to fight Jack, he tells Tsubasa to go back and catch up with Jinga and Masamune. Speaking of Jinga and Masamune, the two of them are in trouble. In order for Jinga and Masamune to reach the Spiral Core and stop Dr. Ziggurat, they need to get past Damien, who is waiting for them to arrive. And this is a major problem. Now, to those of you who remember the power scaling we did a few minutes ago, you might be wondering what the issue is, because Jinga is currently at Jinga plus 2 and about to go up against Damien, which, in the anime, was the powers of the two characters before the final battle where Jinga was able to win. But there's a bit of a difference here, because this Damien is more powerful than the Damien that we saw in the final battle against Team Starbreaker. In the anime, this Damien has been boosted based off of the battle data gathered against Jinga to make himself even more powerful than he was in the tournament. In fact, in the anime, this Damien is so much stronger that it's kind of ambiguous as to whether or not Jinga plus 6 would be able to beat this boosted Damien. Now, granted, this boosted Damien in our story is not going to be as powerful as boosted Damien from the anime, but going up against Jinga plus 2, well, Jinga is not going to be able to win this fight. Now, before any of you think that after beating Jack, Kyoya is going to be able to come in and beat Damien and unlock the door to the power core, well, that's not going to happen. You see, while Kyoya was the one who beat boosted Damien in the anime, he did it with the use of his special move, King Lion Reverse Wind Strike, which is an unbeatable technique, basically. And in our story, since he never went to the Valley of Storms, Kyoya doesn't have access to that move. Meaning that Damien, the final person preventing our heroes from entering the Spiral Core and attempting to stop Dr. Ziggurat, is so powerful that no one is able to beat him. Well, actually, there is one Blader in our What If that would be able to beat Damien in a one-on-one fight. Only he's about to make things even worse. Ryuga arrives on the scene, eager to settle the score with Dr. Ziggurat, and his initial attack on Hades City, like in the anime, is so powerful that it destabilizes the energy reactor. With the damage to the energy reactor, the energy that was generated from Twisted Tempo is going to cause a core meltdown, something that in the anime Ziggurat says is going to destroy the world. This can be prevented, however, if all of the energy stored in the core is absorbed by a Bey. But who is going to do that exactly? Jinga, Masamune, Kyoya, and Tsubasa won't be able to get to the core in time because none of them were able to beat Damien, who only now they have gotten past because Damien turned to run away when Ryuga's attack set off the alarm, telling everyone to evacuate. And before they can even think about stopping the core from melting down, they need to figure out a way to stop Tempo, which is still emitting tons of energy and only speeding up the meltdown process since it is still spinning. With our Kyoya being much weaker than anime Kyoya, Jinga and possibly also Masamune and Tsubasa worn out from trying to battle their way past Damien, it's going to take everything the four of them have to even have a chance of defeating Tempo, even with the help of Zio, who shows up to join the fight. Jinga and the others fiercely battle against Tempo, and against all odds, they're able to overcome the Super Bey. The gang want to celebrate, but there's no time, as the alarm says that the core meltdown is going to happen in 1 minute. Jinga tries to stand and rush to the core, but he's barely able. He tries again, but it's no use, as he and the other bladers have exhausted every last bit of their strength in the battle with Tempo. Jinga looks at his friends, all with no strength left, and he pounds his fist into the ground, angry that he lacks the strength left to stand. 30 seconds until meltdown. Jinga again tries to stand, and is able to make it to his feet. The effort of taking a step is too much for him, and he falls to the ground. 20 seconds until meltdown. Jinga looks over at his friends, at Kyoya, Masamune, and Tsubasa, as tears begin to fill his eyes. I'm sorry, everyone, Jinga cries, as he closes his eyes and waits. 10 seconds until meltdown. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The lights stop flashing, and everything is silent. When suddenly, the lights begin to turn back on. One by one, the lights come back on, and then the automated voice says, Meltdown averted. Jinga and his friends look at one another and slowly try to stand, unable to process what just happened and how they're alive. Suddenly, there's a loud crash behind them, and out of the destroyed wall emerges Ryuga. You see, in the anime, Ziggurat states that Twisted Tempo was created to be as strong as the power of the strongest left rotating Bey and the strongest right rotating Bey in the world combined. Ziggurat's data for the strongest left rotating Bey in the world came from Ryuga's battle with Jack, and his data for the strongest right rotating Bey came from Jinga's battle with Damien. However, in our story, the battle between Jinga and Damien played out very differently than in the anime, because Jinga was not as strong. Because of this, the data that Ziggurat used for the strongest right rotating Bey when constructing Twisted Tempo was actually the power that Damien used in his battle against Julian Konzer, because Jinga, in our story, was unable to push Damien to the point of exceeding that power output in their battle. This means that the version of Tempo in our story is much weaker than anime Tempo. Not only does this mean that our versions of Jinga, Kyoya, Masamune, Tsubasa, and Zio were able to defeat Tempo despite most of them being weaker and or fatigued at the start of the battle, but it also means that Ryuga, who was far from using his full power against Jack, was able to stop the meltdown of the Spiral Core all by himself, saving the world. And if there's anyone watching this who thinks that Ryuga wouldn't have the strength required to stop the meltdown by himself, well, I've got some news for you. In the anime, the special move of Twisted Tempo, which is stronger than the Twisted Tempo in our story, keep in mind, according to Dr. Ziggurat, created basically an inescapable pocket dimension that would trap Jinga and Masamune forever. And Ryuga, with the power of El Drago, without even using the full power of his special move, broke through this dimension, freeing Jinga and Masamune. Jinga and the others are glad to see Ryuga, but Ryuga is not happy to see them. Ryuga lambasts Jinga and the others for not being able to stop Ziggurat, and tells them that if he hadn't come to save all their sorry behinds, they would have all been doomed. Jinga tries to thank Ryuga for his help, but Ryuga simply gives Jinga a disappointed look and says, "You want to thank me? Then from now on, don't need my help." And with that, Ryuga turns to leave, having saved the world, while Jinga and his friends, having failed in their mission to stop Ziggurat, are able to look forward to and enjoy whatever awaits them in their next adventure. And that is the end of our story. I want to thank you all for joining on this journey. Did you like the ending? If you did, or even if you didn't, leave a comment in the comment section down below. And I hope that all of you are having a great day.